Nigga fan 007. What up? You good? I'm alive, I'm breathing. Drop this shit. What up, nigga? Drop this shit. What up, nigga? Fucking head, man. Drop this shit. What up?
Man, 007, man. Shout out to the whole AFM. I'm here with my co-host. We got Beasley on the line. Yo, Beasley, what up, man?
Yo, what is good, man? AF, Angry Fan Movement, man. It's always a pleasure to be on the show. You know, this show, man, I want to commend you on, man, because, man, what you guys have grown into in terms of a media outlet for the battle culture has been great, man. The reach and just the energy that it provides. Even when y'all talk shit when I'm not on the line and y'all get at me and get at URL, I need it and I appreciate it because this level of drama is another form of entertainment that keeps people glued into the battle. So when people are not battling, they can listen to the show. You know, you get to get a taste of people's personalities outside of the battle arena. You know, you get the league owner's perspective. You get the rapper's perspective. So I just think it's a good outlet, and I appreciate it. I enjoy it. And even when you're dumping on me, you know what I'm saying, I'm laughing, man. I got my popcorn out. Like, I'm listening to this shit for hours and hours and hours, man. So I just wanted to say it's a pleasure to be back on the show. It's always a good time. And, you know, we definitely appreciate everything that you do.
Definitely, we appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Let's jump into Born Legacy 3, yo. Born Legacy 3, like, I want to know how promising does it look, the future content?
How promising does it look? What do you mean in terms of, like, the talent from the show?
Exactly, the talent.
Oh, man, we have some great shit, man. I mean, yeah, Pete, I see you later. Yo, we have some great shit, man. Like, I was really impressed, man. Like, I was really impressed with a lot of these guys' performances. I feel that the pressure that we put out there in terms of all of the blogs and the recaps, and then, you know, you guys on your show and you doing your blogs in the car and you telling dude, yo, man, this is it for you, man. You don't make it on this one, man. I don't want to hear nothing. All the things. That pressure, that added pressure produces results, and it's what's needed. You know what I mean? People need to be told when they're not doing shit right, whether it's the league, whether it's the MCs. So I think, you know, that really put a lot of pressure on the guys. But, you know, I would say just about everybody showed up. I'll let everybody, you know, make judgment on the battles. I mean, you hear the reviews, but I don't want to be the one to say, oh, it's a bunch of classics, and then, you know, people at home on the internet pick stuff apart, man. People just need to watch the battles and enjoy them for what they are. Everybody's not perfect. You're not going to like every line. You gotta look at battle rap like a boxing match. You know what I mean? Like in the round, you know, there might be like an exchange early on, and then there might be dancing, and they might clinch, and then like the last 45 seconds, there's an exchange, and it's powerful punches back and forth, and everyone's like a good round. You know, if somebody says some things you don't like in the middle of the round, you know, don't condemn them for the whole battle. You know what I mean? Just look for the good parts, man. Everybody gotta have more of a positive attitude when approaching our culture, because we're the only ones who love it. And if we like down it and pick it apart before it can get off the ground, you know, it's never going to grow. I mean, I know it's grown tremendously, and people view it as being big because of the numbers and the milestones that we're all hitting throughout the culture. But remember, we're still a subculture. We're still on level 2 in terms of really breaking through to the mainstream. And our time is coming, because this is the longest run that battle rap has had in some time. You know, generally it will come for a couple of years, you know, like when you had the Blaze battle back in the days on HBO, and then it died down. Then Smack DVD battles came, and then Fight Club came, and then, you know, it died down again. You know what I mean? And then now we're back in the new era. And there's more leagues than ever. There's more battle MCs than ever. So I think we're just in embryonic stages of expanding this culture where it needs to be. So it's important that everybody just show support, watch the battles that you don't like, even if you click on them and go in the other room and make yourself something to eat and come back and go to the next battle. It's just good energy for everybody. Watch everybody's battles from every league, every MC. Show support and let's build this thing to where it needs to go. But I had a great time at Born Legacy 3, man. I'm excited, and I'm glad that, even the stuff that happened, it didn't overshadow the actual battle that took place. I think, Daylight, the performance was great. Mike P was there matching him, standing toe-to-toe. Ill Will returned. He was crazy. His performance was electric, man. Rum Nitty, of course, with the metaphors and the bars and shit. Even guys like Reaper Rao was stepping up. Him and Gutter had a dope battle. Like, clash of personalities. Reaper was haymaker after haymaker. Gutter was, like, lyrical and deep. So everybody, Pres Mafia came back. He was gunning. You know what I mean? It was a crazy night, man. Chess left Earth. It was some really nice moments in there, and I hope that they translate well onto film. But the energy in the building was just retarded. Your man Prep and Latize had people running through the damn thing. You know what I mean? It was crazy, man. It was really good, and I was really happy with it.
What about Sway? Did he surprise you?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Sway was one battle that I missed because I had some other business going on that day. So I was in and out of the venue during the daytime, so I missed it. But I did hear from everybody that is the best Sway that they've ever seen, ever. Like, he came, I guess whatever you guys were saying to him, he listened, and he came to show up. He came out swinging, and I could tell that he was happy with his performance just by his demeanor afterwards. You know what I mean? It was just, he was definitely happy with his performance. So, and everybody else was happy. So it was pretty good.
Okay. Let me ask you this: like, all right, are you at the point now where you have to determine, all right, do we focus on the new dudes or do we keep the top tiers around? I mean, I see the no-show with B Magic, the no-show with Young L. You getting frustrated to the point where you just like, let's just focus on these dudes now? A lot of people are saying.
I'm listening. Go ahead. You said a lot of people said what?
A lot of people feel like the top tier are now getting pushed out. Matter of fact, not even a lot of people. The top tier themselves feel like that. Like, we've had Math on here. He said it. A couple of people said it.
Well, I mean, you gotta look at this. You gotta look at this for what it's worth. You know what I mean? It's not that anybody's getting pushed out. I mean, if you're fighting for your spot and competing on the highest level, you're going to be there. Or, some guys believe that they grow faster than the culture. So there's not enough money to support the demands that they want to meet. So they may feel that they're getting pushed out. So, if I call somebody and I offer them a battle and they turn it down, well, I just don't have an event, don't have a battle. I call the next person, and I keep it moving. So I can't, for those who feel that they're being pushed out, even before Mass Battle dropped, I told them I would book them again. You know what I mean? So it's not even about, even though he didn't have the best performance, I said I still will book you again. No problem. I'm not pushing anybody out, but times are changing. There are newer guys, there are hungrier guys. You know what I'm saying? So some guys of the top tiers will be like, oh, man, I can't move unless I get X amount of dollars. You know what I mean? I want this, this is what I'm going to need. And then now I'm looking at things from a business perspective, and I'm saying, well, that may not necessarily be economical for us. It's not that I don't want to see you, but, this is what you want. So, I mean, if I'm not going to get it, and then you don't battle, then that means nobody was prepared to pay you that fee. So that's truly not your market value. Because if you could get that money, you would go someplace else and get it. URL consistently pays more than everyone else, which I don't think is fair, because I think we give the biggest look, the most publicity, and the most hype. And that does strengthen your brand. And for the guys that are not signed to us, that enables you to go other places and work. You know what I'm saying? And get other fees. But we consistently pay guys will come on. Of course, you know, every now and then there's some drug dealer who comes into battle rap who decides he's going to be the king and he pays everybody, or there's some corporate investor or something that comes in and does an event and overpays everybody, and then it doesn't happen ever again. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, on a consistent basis, we pay the most. You know what I mean? And I challenge anybody to show me otherwise. All the guys that complain, upset, being mistreated, and this and that, they've been battling here for 7 years. How long does it take for you to reach your breaking point? You must be coming here for a reason, right? Or if you say that we do bad business, well, evidently the business must be good because you're coming back, right? You're continuing to be jerked. It's got to be one or the other. You can't have both. You can't say, yeah, man, I don't like that girl, man. That ain't my wifey. But then every week you at the movies with her. Every week, Thanksgiving dinner. It's Christmas. You know what I'm saying? You got the matching sweaters. You got taken it to your mother's house. It don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? I thought that wasn't your wifey, homeboy. You know what I'm saying? Or you can't. It's got to be one or the other. You know. So if you're saying, "Oh man, your love treats you so bad," but then, yo man, I didn't even get booked for Nome. I wasn't on Summer Mat. I wasn't on Bookies and Bets. But they didn't even call me. They didn't even consider me. But then you're still here, and then, you know, next year on Angry Fan Radio, you're talking about this event where you didn't get booked for this, or this happened. At some point, you gotta realize, man, you know, it can't be. It's got to be one or the other.
Okay. As far like, all right, I've been watching controversy. So as far as is B Magic and Av, is it going to go down?
Man,
you want to go down?
Let me tell you, man, I can honestly say, in the face of taking a financial loss and all the drama that comes with these battles not happening, I am actually thoroughly entertained by this whole scenario, because I feel like it brought so much attention. It overshadowed everything out there.
Yeah.
And it just really brought attention to us. And I just feel that it's almost invaluable, the hype and the energy. It's a connection. It's an emotional connection here. Now people want to know what's going to happen. Is the big battle going to go down? You know. Now, do I want the battle to happen? Of course. Do I care at this point about what happened? Well, hey, what happened in the past is what happened in the past. Now, I have said this, you know, clearly, Cats and Movement. I am willing to get still. When people say, oh, man, it's no big deal, they'll make it up, they forget. You got to buy a new plane. You got to purchase new hotel rooms. You know, these are all things that have to happen. Again, you got to get a camera crew, new venue, you know, all these things. I've stated numerous already, but not to your audience, that I am willing to pay. If B Magic wants to battle Av tomorrow, he can call me tonight and I will book his flight. He's been paid in full. He signed the contract, agreed to the terms of the contract. We are waiting on him. Now, it's either he's going to return the money this week or do the battle. It's very simple, very cut and dry. There was no discrepancy about the money. The money was paid when the battle got pushed back. He knew the battle was getting pushed back. He said, yo, on the date when the battle is supposed to happen, I think you could look out. And I was expecting money to come in on that time. And I said, yes. And on that day, I paid the money. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people are saying, oh, well, there was some funny business for the fans. You know what I mean? But this is all documented information. I challenge anyone to tell me otherwise or to prove otherwise. So as I said before, B Magic or Young Ill are welcome to make up their battles at any time. We don't have to drag this out into another long event or book it down the line. Let's just bring them up here get a spot like Sue Surf and Big T, put them in, and shoot. Now, now, to me, anyone listening, and to you guys at Angry Fan Radio, I mean, what more can I do as the platform? I'm saying, okay, you guys blew off my plane tickets, you blew off my hotel room, you disappointed my fans, but you know what? Let's continue. Let's do the battle. Now, the only reason, now if you say, which is B Magic's reason for not coming, that he had something that he had to take care of in St. Louis last weekend. The weekend's over. It's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. It's a week later. If you can't come up tomorrow because can you come up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe next Friday? We're ready right now. All he has to do is say he wants to do the battle and come up. There's nothing to think about, B Magic fans.
You know what? What? Like, did he tell you what the problem was, or he just said it was something?
No. Now let me be clear about something else, okay? And I want to say this to the listeners and everybody else. I saw a lot of people who were upset about the speech that I made during the event, right? And they say, "Oh, why didn't you
petty,
play
super
for
petty,
Harlem?"
super petty.
And this is that, right? But listen, let me tell you why I did that speech, and maybe you will change your opinion of what you actually saw transpire. Now, I made that speech somewhere around 6 o'clock in the evening, maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock. Now, that was day one when I made that speech, right? Now, the day of the battle, well, I'm getting links sent to my phone of B Magic on the radio. He's on social media. He's talking to fans. He's doing everything in the world. Now, I'm puzzled because I didn't get to go back and tell you the story. And maybe I should do that real quick and then it'll make sense. So basically, this is what happened in a nutshell. B Magic called. He said that he wouldn't be able to make it to the battle. I called B Magic back. I said, B Magic, what's the problem? Okay? And B Magic said, yo, it's just a personal issue. And I said, well, what personal issue, Magic? Because this is important. People are coming from out of town. Like, can you tell me what's wrong so I can get an understanding? And, nobody's dead. No dead brother. No shot uncle. Nobody in the hospital. Wow. No one's dying. The children are fine. Everything is fine. So I said, well, is it a financial issue? And he said, yes. I said, well, what would it take for that problem to go away? And he called the number, and I said, okay, cool. We'll advance. It wasn't just extra money. What I said was, okay, cool. This will be the advance towards your next battle with us. But, that's what people, oh, you're just throwing this money around. No, it was an advance towards the next battle because we're already planning for Born Legacy 4. So I said, it'll be an advance towards your next battle. He said, cool. So I said, all right, so are we good then? And then I guess he didn't think that I was going to match the number that he called. So then I said, are we good? And then he was like, but I don't really want to be owing y'all, and you know what I mean, and blah, 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 blah. I'm saying, yo, Magic, bro, you told me. So I said, are you getting on the flight? And then he said, hopefully. I said, Magic, what does that mean? I said, you told me what the problem was. And I said I would match you. Now, mind you, everybody who's listening, even if he had a personal issue, this is that Thursday night. His flight wasn't until 6:30 p.m. the next day. So it wasn't like, I got to, drop my family off or do this or do that. He had ample time to get ready. So he said, hopefully. So he hung up, and he called back again. And then I'm like, me and him were just going back and forth, me, him, and another guy that works with us, my man Pete. So I'm like, yo, listen, you told me you had a problem. You said a number, I matched it. That's what's getting you out of your problem. He said, but I need to know for certain because I'm going to do something here in St. Louis that, I'm going to be able to get the money. And I said, listen, whatever it is that you're going to do in St. Louis, I can't imagine that it's a sure shot thing because you'd be doing it every week. Come to New York and get the sure shot thing and do your battle. And then he was like, oh, well, I don't know because I'm not sure if I could trust that the situation is going to be what it is. I said, Magic, I hope you don't think that you want me to send you another bag before you leave, homie. I was like, I'm telling you that you have to come. So then I even broke it down to this, made it this simple. I said, okay, check it out, Magic. You called the number, right? He said, right. I said, okay, I have to match the number that you said. And I'm not even saying what the number is on the line to the people. I said, but I have to match the number that you said, right? He said, yes. I said, okay, cool. When you get here, if I don't pay you, you don't rap. That's your insurance that you're going to get paid. If you get to New York, I don't pay you. He's like, Milan. I said, Magic, how can you tell me you're not sure that I'm going to pay you, and I've already paid you in full for the battle 3-4 weeks ago? Damn near a month ago I paid you. So how are you telling me that you're not sure that the situation is going to be right? You have your insurance. If I don't pay you, don't rap. Having you in New York City doesn't help me unless you are standing in front of Av delivering those bars. So then he said, all right, Beasley, I'm going to come, man. I'm going to come. And he sounded like he was angry. So we hung up the phone. And then the next day at 11:08 a.m., which was Friday, he texted my work partner, Pete, said, yo, I'm not going to be able to make it. You know what I mean? I have to stay home. I have duties with my family. I'm paraphrasing. So I'm not saying exactly what he texted, but it was something to the lines of I have family issue. I have to take care of my family. I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm going to have to stay. So I said, all right. And then I said, okay. And then I called him, but he didn't answer the phone. So I just accepted that he wasn't coming. You know what I'm saying? So now fast forward back to the event when I made the speech. So the day of the speech, he made it seem like he had his business to handle and everything was so urgent, but yet he's on the radio. And on the radio show, he's alluding to the fact that URL kind of, wasn't together or we mistreated him or wronged him in some way. Like he wasn't just on the radio like, I had personal issues and, that was it. Nothing to do with URL. They paid me in full and everything, but, I just couldn't make it this weekend, but I'm definitely going to make it up. He's not saying that. He's like, well, I didn't know I was the main event. And, like, these really stupid things like these. And that he's basically said he didn't know he was the main event. And if you know he was the main event, he would have negotiated a different bag. So that made me tight because no one ever promoted you like the main event. No, you don't see no promotional material that says B Magic was the main event. Was it a popular battle? Yes. Was it one of the most popular battles on the card? Of course it was. But it was never marketed as a main event. So he's basically saying like, oh, he would have organized a different bag, which makes me believe that it wasn't a legitimate excuse. And then anyone if you have an event that is so traumatic that you can't leave town, you have all these things to do to get out of your current situation, how are you on doing radio show interviews? How are you doing social media? Why are you on Facebook? Why are you arguing with fans? Why are you worried about what they're thinking in your time of crisis? That makes absolutely no sense to me. What are you doing, right? So now this is happening when he's supposed to be on stage. He's doing radio interviews, Facebook chats, and everything else you can imagine in social media. Why he's supposed to be on stage, and then he's putting a slant on the interview like, we did him wrong. Then, no sooner than that, A-Verb comes on that radio show, the same show, and he starts talking, but then his position is, well, and even the radio host is like, well, Verb, do you have anything to do with this? Because you had a lot of cryptic tweets. And he's, Verb is snickering and laughing and, again, alluding to the fact that URL doesn't treat them right and they've been mistreated as St. Louis artists and they're not respected and all these other things. So now you have B Magic not showing. You got Young Ill with a no-show call. and then you have their spokesman on the radio snickering and laughing about these guys not attending the show. And then even the host is like making it seem like it's a conspiracy. Now, I never said that they all conspired to move against us because I don't have definite proof of that. But I do know that it's just ironic how these guys are on the radio at the time during the battle. Generally, when someone does a no-show, they're quiet because they're handling the death in their family, or they're quiet because they're handling business. These guys are media mavens. They're on the radio, they're chatting it up, laughing, giggling, doing these long, extended interviews when they're supposed to be in a crisis. You know what I mean? And then we had spoken with Averb the day before to see if he could locate Young Ill, and he said that he could never find Ill. But when he's on the radio the next day, he's not mentioning, like, you know, anything to do with Ill. He's not saying, you know, anything bad. He's just laughing like, hey, you know, things happen. You know, this is why we get treated like this. So it makes it feel and seem like that's what's going on. So once that happened, and they put the slant on it, like that was the reason why they didn't show, I had to tell the real story of what happened. And that's why I made the speech.
So, you know what? Go ahead, Judy.
I was going to say, so, you know, with everything Verb said, as far as St. Louis being, they feel like they aren't respected, do you think he has a right to feel that way as far as, like, none of the St. Louis guys get invited to the BET stuff, like, things like that? Like, do you think he has a right to feel that way?
Do I feel that they have the right to feel that way? They have the right to feel however they want to feel, right? Now, but the thing is this, right? I don't work for BET. I submit names, and they choose the people that they want to choose. Now, people have to remember, there's been times where our relationship hasn't always, you know, it has its ups and downs. You know, as I mentioned before, this is wrestling. 1 minute, you know, they love us, 1 minute they hate us. But, you know, Averb even said by his own admission that he backed out of a battle with us, and then he sent me this crazy tweet, you know what I'm saying, basically saying, like, on some Midwest shit, like, you know, URL for life, but guerrilla warfare for eternity, and, you know, returned part of the money for his battle, not even all of it. You know what I'm saying? Which is cool. He returned most of it, but he sent it back, right? You know, so what I'm saying is, now you do this for, you know, 3-4 weeks before my event, and then it just so happens 2 weeks later I get this call from BET saying, hey, do you want to be a part of this thing that we're doing? So at that point, and I've told Verb this to his face and on the phone, why would I submit your name if you just told me that you're not riding with the team? What would be the purpose in doing that? I'm not your manager, right? And I'm not responsible for putting you on, you know, on this show. But what people forget, and what he even forgets, is the only time that Averb was ever on TV, I put him on TV, on BET. I put him on the Back Room, 106 in Park. He had a freestyle there. I called him up, and he came in from St. Louis. So it's not that I'm neglecting him, because the one time that he wanted to be on there, I so happened that particular year I didn't submit his name, and why would I? He canceled a battle on me and told me that he really wasn't riding with me. So why would I support him at that particular time? But I tell you what, since then we've become friends again. I speak to Averb all the time. I've even spoken to Averb in the middle of this whole drama. That's why I said this whole thing is wrestling. It's serious, but it's wrestling. I'm pretty sure he does feel the way that he feels. But you guys got to remember who Averb is. He needs attention. This is what he thrives off of. Okay, he wasn't even booked last weekend, but interjected himself into this whole conversation and turned the energy all into a whole nother thing, and he's just reeling everybody into believing that he's being mistreated, when actually he's already been on television via the URL platform. Okay? But what people don't ask, and you guys can help me with this one, okay? His comrade, his teammate, his homie from the STL, Hitman Holla, his boy, childhood friend. He's on one of the biggest shows on cable television, Wild 'N Out.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen Young Ill, B Magic, or Averb on Wild 'N Out for 3 seasons. I haven't seen them in the audience. I haven't seen them on stage as guests. I have never seen them on Wild 'N Out. Now, Wild 'N Out comes on 16, 17 shows per season. The BET Awards is a once-in-a-year event. So, well, they don't get fair treatment. Your own friend hasn't even the television, but you're not mad at him. You're mad at me, a guy from New York who you say is biased, but yet your best friend hasn't gotten you onto his show that he's a star on. So why is no one looking at that or anyone asking themselves about that particular situation? And in actuality, Wild 'N Out is a much bigger look. I mean, I see you guys follow Hitman Holla on Instagram. You see him in the hot tubs, Conceited, and the models, and Kylie Jenner. Do you see that type of residual effect from being on the BET Cypher? Are any of the guys that were on the BET Cypher in Beverly Hills in hot tubs with models? If there's any scenario that you want to be angry at, you want to be angry at that. Okay?
But Beasley,
and you get paid to be on Wild 'N Out.
That's true.
So, that's what I'm saying. So when these guys say, oh, we didn't get this look, we didn't get that look, your own teammate, your own person you call your partner, your brother, your team member, you're not even on with him. Or maybe he did get you the audition and you didn't make it. I don't know. We all don't know. But that's a question that I'm curious about. Why is he not on Wild 'N Out? Why is Young Ill not on Wild 'N Out? Why is B Magic not on Wild 'N Out? Are they foul? Are they wrong for not getting them on television? I've at least gotten Averb on television. Has Hitman Holla gotten Averb on television?
Hold on, Driz. So B, so are you saying that Hitman's kind of like, you ain't saying it obviously?
No,
but,
I'm not saying. Listen. It's not Hitman's responsibility to get Averb on television. Is the point that I'm making, right? It's not his responsibility. It's not his job.
Why are you coming at you?
Every man is responsible for himself. But what I'm saying is, you can't point the finger at URL and Beasley and say they didn't look out for us and they didn't do this, when your own friend is in a better situation every single week and you're not on his show. So I see fans saying, oh, that's wrong, you didn't get them on there. Well, why are they not on Wild 'N Out? Why is nobody asking that question? You know what I'm saying? Wild 'N Out, Nick Hitman speaks highly of Nick Cannon. He says that's his friend, and if it wasn't for Nick Cannon, he doesn't know where he would be, and they've established a great relationship. I don't see why you can't get Averb on the side laughing by the DJ, quick little 2-second shot. You know what I'm saying? Show him smiling in the crowd, waving to the people or something. I haven't seen any of that. I don't see B Magic in the background pulling Conceited shirt or after the joke. I don't see Young Ill, standing next to the Wild 'N Out models. I don't see them anywhere on the set. Why isn't anybody asking that question? Why is it always what URL has to do and what they're supposed to do? I'm the only one that's gotten Averb on television.
Well, he was on Total Slaughter.
I don't understand what I did wrong.
He was on Total Slaughter.
Huh?
He was on Total Slaughter, the show.
But I got him on TV before that. I was the first person to get him on television.
But let me ask you this. That's true, but let me ask you this. It seems like, you guys have had issues with battle rappers before, like with Clips, and Clips ain't been showing up with third rounds for years, but y'all still book Clips. Y'all had problems with plenty of guys, but it seemed like, from the Midwest guys' point of view, it seems like when there's a problem with the Midwest guys, y'all just don't, like a Hitman, y'all got a problem with him, so y'all just don't want to deal with him at all. But y'all deal with the East Coast guys, is what it looks like on the outside looking in.
We've never stopped booking any of those guys. The only person that we haven't booked is Hitman, but Hitman doesn't battle like that. Hitman's been gone out of the culture. He pokes his head in every now and then, but he's moved on. He's done what we want someone to do. despite how he feels, Hitman is a success story. He's somebody that came through battle rap, that went to a bigger platform, got onto television, and now he's off doing something else. Yes, he has a love for the game still, but in actuality, he's on 2 television shows. I don't know what the other one is. I know he's on Wild 'N Out, but he's on 2 shows, and he's moved on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he stated that he doesn't want to battle here anymore and that he doesn't need to battle, and that's fine. I think his legacy is strong enough to where it stands on its own. And when it's all said and done, his jersey will go up in the rafters. You know what I'm saying?
But he tried battling
we never
times.
stopped. Listen, we never stopped. We never stopped booking Averb. Young Ill had issues going on where he couldn't battle. He wasn't battling anywhere. So it wasn't like we dropped Ill and just said, "Oh, we're not hiring Ill anymore." And we booked B Magic, but B Magic takes a lot of battles. And he doesn't, lately he hasn't, he's had some rough times. It doesn't negate the fact that he's a talented artist. But it's not, it's not like, it's still a bunch of things besides, showing up and having actual talent. It's like, can you sell a card? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes Averb doesn't have the most memorable performances, but he can sell a fight. He's selling us right now. Look at all this energy we got going on. And that's why I appreciate Averb and will always hire him, because he knows how to rile up the people. He's got radio shows talking. He's got people feuding. He's got us exchanging comments. And I'm pretty sure he's listening at home right now, the asshole that he is. That's my man, because I'm an asshole too. And he's eating popcorn and crunching munch, and he's got, his feet propped up, and he's listening to this, and he's laughing. Because he knows how to start the energy. He's fired his gun. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say that, we don't have, no, we're not picking on anybody. I have documentation. I can prove to everybody, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that I submitted B Magic for the BET Cypher. You can ask him. When he gets on the phone, you can ask him. And if he says no, I will find the email with his name on it, and I will send it to you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to find it and send it to you so that you can include it when you repost this on YouTube so you can see. And I included Averb in this year when I submitted his name. Me and him were talking every day about it, but we don't have a cipher this year. URL does not have a BET cipher, so that is why it didn't happen.
And so basically,
we don't have a
like
cipher this year. Then I listened to everything, and I saw one thing where he said about his movie, and he wanted to shoot a movie, and we wouldn't let him shoot the movie and had an event.
Yeah.
Anybody that that's been on a movie set knows you cannot shoot a scene, a 10-minute scene in 10 minutes. It's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? People paid money to come in. There's no way that's going to happen. Now, if anyone can write me if I'm wrong, there have been times in the past where URL events have started late. But we get 2 hours in. We just did 7 battles in one day on Sunday and like 6 the other day and was out before 7 o'clock. We have a new system. We've been moving like that. Ever since Gnome 4, we've been moving like that. You know what I'm saying? The only time that we delay battles is when some of these battlers don't show up. But, we've got a system now, and we've been getting through everything, even Perfect Day to Die, Double Impact. All these events started on time, and we got people through them. The event that he wanted to do with that was the one in December where, Clips and Suge battled and Bl3 and B battled, which is the Perfect Day to Die. And I was saying to him, like, he's saying, like, he wants to bring this guy wants to bring his movie set and equipment. There's a whole bunch of variables that come into play in terms of insurance and in the venue allowing that to happen, then them setting up their cameras and their lights and their stuff to shoot a movie and then being able to break that down so the show can start. It just wasn't possible. So it wasn't that we were trying to block him from being in a movie, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, yo, my man, that's not realistic. You can't do that. Nobody, like, to set up a full movie camera, you have to plug into their generators, their lights. It's a whole different setup and scenario that would have to be done on top of us being fully set up. And, you know what I mean? It just, that's not possible. So it wasn't that we were curving them. It was just that that's just not going to be possible. Anybody that's been on a movie set knows it doesn't. You can't shoot a 10-minute scene in 10 minutes. The 10-minute scene is 3 hours long. You know what I mean? It's just not. It's just what it is. You know.
Okay.
So Beasley, let me.
Go ahead, Dre.
Let me ask you this. I mean, I listen to a lot of Angry Fans Radio. You know, I follow this shit, man. So, you know, when y'all booking a battler, obviously y'all go by the fan bases, the numbers, what you feel they could bring in. What is it a personal reason, or is there some numbers behind the fact that it seems like Hitman wants the same amount as Clips and these other guys, but he's not able to get that? What is the reason behind that? Because from a numbers standpoint, he does pretty much more than all of them.
Nigga fan 007. What up? You good? I'm alive, I'm breathing. Drop this shit. What up, nigga? Drop this shit. What up, nigga? Fucking head, man. Drop this shit. What up?